the Basilica of St. John. In the afternoon, I will point out you the location of the first and the second and the fourth cities of Ephesus. The present day of town of Selçuk, which is the small town that we passed through, is had been built on top of the first, second, and the fourth cities of Ephesus. So it's very limited remainings going back to those cities. The first settlement goes back to 2000 BC. Then around 1200s, when the Greek colonization period, the second city was constructed very close to what we can call as the first city. But then during the Hellenistic age, after Alexander the Great passed away, his generals divided his lands among themselves, and it was Lysimachus who became the ruler of what we can call as the western part of the present day Turkey. And Lysimachus, one thing that he had done was coming to Ephesus and establishing a larger city at a location which is quite far away from the second one by means of the ancient time location. So he covered the expenses of some civil structures over here on the valley that we're going to visit. And the Ephesians, they didn't want to move to this place because it was away from their mother goddess temple. So what happened is, according to the story, he gave orders to block the drainage system of the city during the rainy season, so that the whole city got flooded, and the Ephesians had to move to this one. This city had been also occupied during the Roman times, and the size enlarged because it became one of the first of all important commerce centers. And after the Provincia Asia was announced in the year 129 BC, Ephesus was chosen to be the capital city of the Provincia Asia. So it came to a point like Ephesus meant more than the city itself to the Romans. It was a provincial capital. Nearly 1/3 of the present-day Turkey was administered from here. This is the reason why some state offices, some administrative quarters, and plus some commercial quarters is quite large, considering the population that once lived here. It wasn't serving only to the city of Ephesus itself, but it was serving to the whole Provincia Asia. Which means some of the Asiarchs had their offices here, had lived in the city of Ephesus. Then the harbor that you're seeing on this topographical map, which once was very close to the city itself, when it started to be silted up by the Kaistros River, or with the Turkish words Little Meander River, which brought alluvial soil which silted the harbor so that the ships, especially the big ships, couldn't make their way to the port over here. And this was the main reason why they started to use the other ports like Miletus ports, the city of Miletus that we're going to visit tomorrow. And as the commercial activity decreased over here, and in the silted up areas, it became the marshy lands, and the mosquitoes appeared that caused the disease malaria. The residents of Ephesus began to abandon this area and moved and established a smaller size settlement where the Basilica of St. John is located today. We're also going to see that area, but it will be mainly the Basilica itself. I will not be able to show you much of the residential quarters because they are underneath the modern houses of the town of Selçuk today. So they abandoned the city, but when we think about the brief info I had given about the settlements, we can talk about as of 300 BC till 680, for about 9 centuries, this valley was occupied. And especially during the first and the second century, where the early church events were taking place, it is this city. So be prepared to walk on the streets that Paul walked, John walked, and Aquila and Priscilla walked. Whatever you read in the Acts of the Apostles related to the Provincia Asia, at least 99% of the personalities of the people that you will read in the Bible might have visited passed through and spent a certain period of time. Even the longest stay made by Paul during his journeys is to the city of Ephesus. Only that shows the importance that the role Ephesus played during the flourishing and the spreading of Christianity itself. So at the moment, the city is located between two hills. You can see at the far right end two watchtowers, and the fortification wall begins. It extends towards to the hilltop, makes the whole circle, and ends at the harbor point. Also, on the top of the hill, which is behind me, uh, another set of fortification walls were present, and those very first phase of the fortification walls goes back to the Hellenistic age. And during the Hellenistic age, not with this whole length, but especially to create enough defensive power to the city, which was established closer to where we stand, they were in use. We can talk about three main gates in Ephesus. One is the Magnesian gate at the outer right end. It was providing connection to the Magnesia on Meander, which is like half an hour drive away from here. The another land gate will be the one that we're going to leave. The on the topographical map, the gray road that connects to the main road is passing through where the possible gate of Ephesus was located, and the third entry or exit point was the harbor itself. The sea was next door to Ephesus, but today it's approximately about 5 miles away. And the whole silting up process was performed by the Kaystres River, or the Little Meander River, as we call it in Turkish. So during our tour, we are in the at the moment we are in the section which is indicated with number 6, the very first part of the stoas that you see right after the gate zone. That is the State Agora administrative quarter. We will be making our visits over there, and then by walking down the hillside, down the slope on the ancient road, on the ancient streets that were used by whoever was in the city, we will be getting more into the civil quarters. We'll be seeing beautiful structures going back to the Roman period, and there we will get into the terrace houses over here. Uh, Out of many, only 7 had been totally excavated and restored. Uh, be ready to see the life of the high-end class in the Roman world. We're going to see their places, and when we reach the mid of the slope, we will meet with the archaeologists who worked also during the excavations of Ephesus, which is still carrying on. And a hike on the hillside will take us to the Cave of Paul, where one of the very early representations in the form of a fresco with Thecla and Theoclia. We're gonna walk into the cave, which is not open to public, so a special permission for the non-group it was taken. So we will be among the few privileged groups that has the chance to make a visit towards to that part. Inside, you can take pictures over there, but without using flash, please, because it's the fresco itself is not in a very good condition, and more flashlight or strong light just makes the color fade away. Even though not many groups are visiting, still it will be required by us. Other than that, at any point you can take the pictures as long as you remain within the walking area. Also, please pay attention to that, because as you will see, there are ropes and our path inside is nearly defined. You may see an opening, you may go, but God knows whether you'll be on the roof of a building. So what's underneath is not defined. Today, we will be spending roughly 4 hours over here, and still I will not be able to show you more than the 16% of Ephesus. So at the end of the day, what you had seen, you need to multiply it with 6 and add 4% more on top of it. That will be the size of Ephesus. Okay? So as of 1872, which began with James Stewood, a British archaeologist. The excavations had been carried on over here, and in certain parts, still ongoing excavations are present. So, as long as, let's say, you follow me and Mark, we will be taking you to the spots which is available for visiting, and especially had remainings that are important for the early church history. Then, after the cave of Paul's visit, we will return back to the main street of the city again. We will see the very well restored Celsius Library. We will walk into the agora, the commercial agora of the city, which is indicated by number 19 over there, as the tent makers Aquilia, Priscilla, St. Paul is believed to own a stand or carry on their commercial activity in the in the commercial agora over there. And then we will walk you to the theater in which the silversmith Demetrius's rite, you can read in the Acts, took place actually. And then by walking on the Arcadian street, we will make a turn towards the parking lot, and then we will carry on for our lunch place, which is located roughly right over here. So when we are enjoying the lunch organized by Tutku Tours, we will have a chance to see the remainings of the stadium and partially some parts of the city walls. Right, right, very close to the garden of the place, and then we will carry on our day. Okay. Any questions?